And again, we told you there was a good one there. We had the ticket, J&J. We had Jane and John. We decided to do that, but we do know that it is John and Jane. And ultimately, great analysis led by Ivan Simensa and the rest of the team. Koji Angson supporting Weston Amwa. And then we had great support coming from MFA Apo, and we had some great analysis also done within the period. And of course, at the event center, we had Kwesi Parker Wilson, Araba Kumson, and the analysis was great. Everybody enjoyed it, but also you look at the trends on social media, it was also one of the talk of town. But as we do that, we also know that they were doing this as they observed the COVID-19 protocols at that big auditorium at UPSA. And that's why we also do know that COVID-19 is very important. And as the president said on Sunday, churches can now have a free fall and do their services 2 hours and revert back to remote mode. What does it mean? What are the implications? What are the notices that we have the heads of these churches sending out to their various members or their branches and then the outlets that they operate with? So Mama Vio Sobajo will be having an interaction at a church setting with the Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo. He is the chair for the Christian Council of Ghana, and we're coming from the Calvary Methodist Church right here in Accra, just down the road, I have to say. And then Sheikh Shaibu is an Islamic cleric, but also a known educationist and a spokesperson for the Office of the National Chief Imam. And Sheikh Shaibu will be joining us as well. We'll be discussing how the mosques also intend doing this. As we do this, let's do some recap, recall some soundbites from that great event.
After further extensive consultations, government has taken the decision to embark upon the implementation of phase 2 of the easing of restrictions in the following sectors of our national life. Our churches and mosques have been open for prayers and services for the past 7 weeks, adhering to 25% occupancy or up to 100 congregants over a time duration of up to 1 hour per service. I extend my deepest appreciation to our religious leaders for their strict adherence to the safety protocols, which have prevented any known outbreaks since they restarted their services. I've sorely missed going to church, as I'm sure many others have. I'm therefore very happy to announce that in consultation with our church leaders, from 1st August 2020, the restrictions on the number of congregants worshipping at a time in church will be lifted, with the length of worship extended from 1 to 2 hours per service. Church leaders who are desirous of implementing this enhanced easing directive must ensure that congregants wear face masks at all times, and the 1 meter social distancing rule is scrupulously applied. These same guidelines apply to worship in our mosques. With greater number of congregants likely to return for worship, I would respectfully ask the religious leaders to pay even greater attention to the fresh air ventilation of their premises, rather than relying on the use of air conditioners.
Now, let's make sure we get onto the streams. And before we get to that church, the Calvary Methodist Church just down the road, main street of Adabraka, just coming from Circle or going from Circle to Accra itself. We will be live there. Speak to the chair for the Christian Council of Ghana, the Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo. He's a regular on the show, helping us do some great discussions. Now, let's speak to Sheikh Shaibu. He is a spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. It is because it's not only the churches, but also those practicing the Islamic faith who also need to make sure that they do this. Now it's open, no restrictions, but what does it mean? Because this is being done in a time of COVID. It would also mean that while you're doing this, you are adhering to the needed protocols. All right, as we do that. Good morning to you, Sheikh. Well, we will get him back on the line. Now, as we do this, we'll also have an interaction that Kuje Yankson had with Professor Kwame Nahoy. He's also a known local government expert because, look, if you take a look at it, not only because he's a former minister for local government and rural development, but the current local governance structure that we have was premised on his idea and the rest of his team and good research. And he has great experience to share. But it is also because he has a great book, and we'll get some excerpts.
They were really calling the shots from behind. So he was seen as a very weak leader who was not in control of his party, and therefore was not able to take control of the country that was going downhill in a way. And then AFRC interregnum had raised certain expectations. You know, Jerry Rawlings and the AFRC, they had raised certain expectations that the country could be turned around. But people were not seeing Liman as managing to turn the country around. And people began to yearn for change. So when Rawlings came, it was seen as the change needed. And I think that is why.
And we also asked some critical questions as to what he thinks of the running mates, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, and that outdooring in the ticket, that comprehensive analysis program that we brought to you, and then how he hopes she is going to impact the electioneering or the campaigning for December 2020. Well, we're doing all this within the times of COVID. Now let's bring you up to speed with what the latest cases are when it comes to the official page of the Ghana Health Service dedicated to getting all the latest update. New cases 532. And then we also do have all the updates when it comes to the situation of the active cases, because they are 3,307 and recoveries being 29,494 and 168 deaths. And I have to keep emphasizing, if you compare us to other countries, we have done not pretty well, very creditably. And that's also kudos to the National COVID Management Team doing some great work. As we get ahead of all that, we'll also have to update you as to what the latest is, because the National COVID Team, again, because it's a Tuesday, they will do the first of the bi-weekly press interactions and give us an update as to how the case management is going for COVID-19 and other things that are being done. We'll bring you also some sound bites as to how COVID-19 protocols were maintained at that program where we had the unveiling of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. But let's get on to the streams and speak to Sheikh Shaibu, spokesperson, Office of the National Chief Imam, and discuss how the religious leaders intend implementing the East sanctions, because now nobody is watching you, so you just don't have to watch your back, but you are on your own. Now, Sheikh, good morning to you.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, Uncle. But if we have to say the president did creditably, it would also mean that you, as the practicing Muslims of faith, whether you're Christians or not, may have received the news in a more compassionate way. How did you receive the news in the first place?
Actually, thank you so much for the opportunity, and good morning to all the viewers. We received it with joy. It gave us hope. It's something that we have been waiting for the past 5 months or so. We stopped congregating in our mosque for worship in compliance with the directives. We know we are not in normal times, and so we have been waiting for the opportunity to meet in the mosque and say our prayers as normal. We received it with confidence and with joy, having in mind that the emphasis which the president also indicated, we need to strictly observe the protocols that will ensure that we don't get infected. So we are preparing ourselves actually for meeting in our mosques but with all the preparatory arrangements to really put in place.
But it also means that some communication will be undertaken by the Secretariat. What have you told the various communities and then the various clerics managing the outlets?
Indeed, this morning at 11 a.m., the eminent chief imam will be addressing the media to throw more light on what we intend to do. But the first thing we want Muslims to understand is that in the light of the president's message, you notice we are in the second phase of the easing, which takes effect from the 1st of August, 2020. And so therefore, our Eid, which is coming on the 31st of July, is outside of the second phase. And so we will maintain the protocol. We will not come out and celebrate the Eid al-Adha like large the public would want us to do, because we want to still respect the protocol in the first phase of the easing, encourage the imams together with the mosque committees to ensure that where would you not have enough space, we are even more careful in such circumstances. Some of the mosques are neighborhood mosques, some are community mosques, and some are central mosques. Community mosques are usually smaller in their size, and the congregation are not bigger. So it's possible for us to be able to do social distancing. Jumu'ah mosques, which are community and central mosques, are bigger, but yet it also attracts huge congregation. That's where we need to be very, very careful, and we want to encourage the mosque committees or the COVID-19 task force to make enough arrangements to ensure that especially social distancing is observed, and also the use of the consistent use or constant use of the nose and mouth masks should be ensured. We need to continue to be using the temperature gun and the washing of our hands and all other sanitary rules that we need to observe. That's what we want to encourage all Muslims to ensure we are observing.
If you get onto the wider internet and read literature and news, for example, in the Emiratis, they want to open the mosques so that people go and worship. And I also do know that it coincides with the period that you just mentioned, and it's also a hub of Muslim or Islamic practice. How are you taking cues from that, the messages that come from Saudi Arabia and the rest of the big Arabian Muslim world to also guide the way you do the seculars?
Yeah, indeed, we draw inspiration, especially from Saudi Arabia, because as I speak to you, by now you would have seen a lot of pilgrims from Ghana. About 6,000 pilgrims would have been airlifted to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj. But such a very important pillar, and it comes as the fifth pillar of Islam, has to be suspended just because of the COVID-19. So therefore, it tells you how serious the matter is. Indeed, this year, the Hajj performance has been restricted to Saudi citizens and also foreign residents who are in Mecca. They alone will be observing the Hajj this year. And so it's clear that we have to change the way we are doing our things. We are not in normal times. And that is a fear with the government decision. The government has all the facts and all the figures, and they are guided by such facts and figures as to how to do the easing. And so we have refrained from even any attempt to influence government to open up in favor of Muslims. And that's why we still remain committed to do our Eid this year, going by what we did during the Eid al-Fitr. Everybody will celebrate at home. The chief imam will go to GBC and do the virtual Eid, and then we'll all begin observing the second phase of the easing from the 1st of August. Next Friday, for example, our mosque, I'm sure, will be full of worshippers, and we are thankful to God for giving us the opportunity to see this second phase of the easing, but we will still do the strict observance of the preventive protocols.
So what does that mean? The worship is free, but you're still observing. Please clarify that for me.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the new directive, the second phase, this opportunity is free. I mean, we can come. There's no more restriction on the numbers.
Exactly.
There's no more restriction on the numbers. So it means that the mosque will operate in full capacity, and worshippers will come, and no one will be restrained from entering the mosque except those who do not come with their face masks, those who will also come with high temperatures may not be allowed into the mosque because then they become suspicious as infected people. We will also insist that you wash your hands before you enter the mosque. And then also, we also still will observe the rule of one worshipper, one mask, one mat. Everybody must come with his own personal mats to worship on, because we are still living under the COVID pandemic, but life must go on. So even as we open up for us to worship, strictly social distancing, where there's wider space, we will encourage the, the social distancing. Indeed, we are also advising that in situations where the mosque is not as big as to contain big congregation and to also observe the social distancing, I mean, we have to be rational. So if you come to a mosque and it's so full and we cannot observe social distancing, go around and get another mosque where it is possible for you to observe the social distancing. You want to worship, but you also want to keep safe. That is the important thing. You want to worship and you want to keep safe. In fact, in some circumstances, it will be more advisable even to stay home if you cannot find any mosque which is convenient for you to observe social distancing. It will be more advisable even in Islam that you worship at home so that you keep safe. That's the advice we are giving all our worshippers.
Okay. And this goes across the country?
In fact, it's going across the country, and it is one of some of the aspects of the message which the chief man will give to the media at 11 a.m. This morning.
Great. Moving on from this will be the actual practice. What did you notice by way of the observance, and so you feel that this is informing the new way that you want worship to be undertaken?
Yes, like I've said several times, Islamic law, respect to worship, is flexible, it's moderate, and it considers our context. And so currently the global context is that COVID-19 is ravaging us, and because of that, it has brought about rules that is affecting us in every aspect of our life, including our worship. And because of that, we have explored the flexible frame of the Islamic law, and we are now accommodating all these things. For example, in the Quran, God tells us God intends for you ease. He does not intend for you difficulty. That's one. Two, God does not intend to impose on you difficulty in religion or in your worship. These are all Quranic texts that we are using. So within the frame of God's compassion and love for us, He does not impose for us something that will be a threat to our lives. And that is the reason why we have accommodated this. Yes, we will go out and worship and meet in the mosque. Our imams will come, they will deliver sermons, but as the imam is delivering the sermon, he will have a sanitizer around him, which he uses to disinfect the microphones that he is using. Before the imam enters into the mosque, now it becomes a rule. The imam himself will have to check his own temperature before he enters. The imam himself will have to wash his hands before he enters. The imam himself will also have to use, by way of showing example, the face and mouth masks to cover his mouth and his nose, and to ensure that he himself does not get infected, nor does he also infect another person who is a member of the congregation in the mosque. These are things that find place within the rules of jurisprudence in Islam, and we want to encourage all Muslims to abide by this. As we observe this, on Friday, we shall be observing the Eid al-Adha. We will go by the rules of the first season, and then from the 1st of August going, we will all be meeting in our mosque, in our large congregations, observing strictly the COVID-19 pandemic preventive protocols.
It's good that you mentioned the temperature guns, etc. I've been to some mosques in my neighborhood in Ashaima, and they don't use a gun. So I'm surprised you are saying gun. Which gun? Is it the is it the mosques we find in Accra or where? Or is it a countrywide thing?
Roland, yeah, thank you so much. You know, the temperature gun itself is difficult to come by, and I know some organizations are helping. The Maranatha Rock Service, for example, visited a mosque in Medina Central Mosque, and they provided a temperature gun. And so some organizations are providing this, and I think Tomb Lion is also helping. In the mosque where I live myself, we ourselves have to buy our own temperature gun. We have a sanitizer device, which you have to use your hand and then take the sanitizer before you enter into the mosque. Myself, I register and write my name in a register before I enter. Even as an imam, I register my name before I enter and give my sermon. I wash my hands before I enter the mosque. I use my face mask. And if you come to the police mosque, the police central mosque as cantonment. In fact, at cantonment, there is even a whole huge device, that a vacuum that you enter, and you are sprinkled with a disinfectant before you enter, and then your temperature is also taken with the temperature gun before you enter into the mosque. It's so beautiful when you see it over there, but it's not all the mosques that can get this. A certain philanthropist was able to provide this at the police mosque. We are asking all Muslim philanthropists who can help Muslims to get this. For example, at the Abasoka Central Mosque, at the regional central mosques, all, if we are able to get this, that would be so great. In Kumasi and other places, if we get that, will be very, very helpful. So it is happening, except there are some few mosques that are not able to obtain, but that we will see what we can do to help them obtain the temperature guns, inshallah.
At 11 o'clock, the Chief Imam will formally, through the studios, communicate to the entire Muslim faith, right? Okay, so this is what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. At 11 a.m., the Chief Imam will be meeting media houses, and I'm sure your media house has also been invited to come and pick it for your newspapers.
Yeah, definitely. We have been. And so we're opening the phone lines. We want, if you're practicing Muslim, please, any question you want to ask, no criticism. If you want to insult, well, I cut you off. So a question. Like this is for clarification. No insult at all. No politics in there, and just key questions. And it is because we have a key spokesperson from the office of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Shaibu, who is out here to answer questions for our Muslim brothers and sisters. We all do know that Eid al-Adha is on Friday, but also it's a time that all of us revel in, especially for those of us who are very close to our Muslim brothers and sisters. And please make sure you call in 030-2211-691 or 2, and let us hear from you. You can call from any part of the country. You're practicing Muslim, you want to ask some key questions, please make sure you do so, and you want some clarification for your community. You could even be the head of the mosque you have in your community, and you're a key member of the faith in your community. You want some clarification from Accra. We're doing this for you right here. And we already do have Abdul Salam. Abdul Salam, good morning to you. Where are you calling from?
Good morning. I'm calling from Bimbila, Northern Region.
Bimbila, great. Please, you have a question you would want to ask Sheikh?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Please, I want to find out, we've been hearing rumors that the Eid al-Adha will not be observed from people. Please check, what do you have to say on it?
Okay. And so that's a question. Please, the phone lines are open, 030-2211-691 or 2. Sheikh, you heard this question.
Yeah, I heard this question clear. Thank you very much, Mother, from far, I think, upper west. We are not going to observe the Eid al-Adha as normal. We will replicate the celebration of the Eid al-Fitr. In other words, we will celebrate at home. This is because we are within the first phase of the easing. We are not in the second phase yet. The second phase begins from the 1st of August. And secondly, Roland, you said something which I want to emphasize. We want to also be careful not to involve in the politics of it. We don't want to appear as if we were seeking some favor from government, so it will be open for us as Muslims to celebrate. That is why we ourselves are remaining strict, and we are observing it within the frame of the first phase of the easing. And so therefore, we are not yet in the second phase of the easing, which begins on the 1st of August. And that's why we are celebrating at home.
Okay, please, the phone lines are open, 030-2211-691 or 2. Now, as we wait for, as more calls keep coming in, let me just ask the question about if the easing is now out of place, can communities, heads of various mosques decide that they want to impose some kind of social distancing rules, and in what way can they do that? I have Rashid. Hold on. I have Rashid. Right. Where are you calling from? Oh, Rashid is off. Please answer the question for me.
Yes, indeed. We must understand that the government removes the restrictions, but that the responsibility lies on us to make sure that we keep safe. So we ourselves can make our own arrangements, which in our judgments further enhances our safety, because we need to stay safe and healthy and alive to be able to worship. And that is very key. And this is a germane principle that underpins the Islamic application of law. One is the protection of life. Protection of life is very, very key in the application of law or Sharia in Islam. And that is why we are calling on all of us that we should all do what it takes to enhance our own safety. Our own safety. This one does not even have to do with waiting for government to tell us anything, but that we as a community want to build a healthy community. And all the COVID-19 preventive measures are intended to guarantee our safety and enhance our good health, which is also important for us to be able to worship. And so any mosque can decide to lift the level to another, lift the state to another level of the restrictions to ensure that if you are not ready to open your mosques, you are not compelled to open the mosque like, let's say, next Friday. You are not compelled. For example, you want to do fumigation, disinfection, cleaning, painting, all other things. You want to put in place your Veronica buckets. You want to get your temperature gun and all those things. If you want to take your time, you are not compelled to open up. Our safety is very, very important.
Okay, all right. We have Ralph from Adan. Ralph, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Okay, we seem to have lost Ralph. Now, if it comes to how this directive needs to be received by the community members, because I know people are very much passionate and obsessed with religion. So saying that there's the easing of restrictions nationally, but you want some conceptual means by which these could be managed in the communities. How do you intend making sure that the faith or the congregants, so to speak, receive it in a positive light from their local communities? That is if their heads.
I think.
Okay, we have Isa on the line. Isa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Why you
Good morning to you and the listener. And then I say good morning and happy Eid al-Adha in advance to Sheikh and all the Muslims.
Please go ahead.
Please, I want to ask Sheikh if we have a community. We are not coming to pray in a huge country, but have a community which we have a small ground closer to the mosque. Can we pray outside the ground? There's our mosque, small community.
Please, your question again.
What I want to find out is that according to Sheikh, the community mosques, we can pray in the mosque. And I want to know if in that mosque there is a small ground closer to that community mosque. Can we form and pray on that ground without going into the mosque?
Okay, so you're saying if there's an open space, you would rather want to pray outside?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sheikh, please respond.
Yeah, I mean, during the second phase of the easing, which begin from the 1st of August, indeed, if your mosque is too small and you want to pray outside, it is allowed, because you can come outside and say your prayer within the period, so that when COVID-19 virus is no more with us, you can resume and pray into the mosque. So for now, for this reason, you can pray outside and do social distancing. It's allowed.
Okay. Please, phone lines are still on. And then we're going to have Mama Viosabaji speaking to the Reverend Paul Kwabnaboafo. He is chair of the Christian Council of Ghana. And we just want to have some great insight. And as we're having this chat, there is the need for restraint. And I asked a question about how you intend restraining the communities and then compelling them in a way, persuasively though, to listen to their leaders, who will have to do the local management.
I think it's important that we know that it has to do with behavior change. And behavior change is one of the difficult things. It doesn't come overnight. So what we need to do is to do a lot of orientation. And this is where local community leaders that have influential voices, for example, the imam who is the local leader over there, the district imam or the local imam, the neighborhood imam, and then even the chiefs, the authority that are within the localities, and they also speak to them in a language that is most appreciated by the local people. This is where we will use such people to let them understand that there is flexibility. We have our faith, all right, we are passionate, but that we also have to stay safe. And this kind of approach has a place in our religion. And we use the Quranic texts to educate them that when it comes to matters of religion, sometimes we look at practical realities surrounding us, and then we approach them appropriately. And I think that is what we must continue doing. In fact, we have to continue doing the orientation on radio, television, and in the local communities. That will help us get the people to comply.
Well, we have Haruna. Haruna, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Upper East.
Upper East. Which part of Upper East? It's a big area.
Boku.
Okay. Please, your question to Sheikh.
Sheikh talk about the hand-based sanitizer. We have been hearing from the Muslim that it's forbidden for us to use alcohol-based or alcohol. So now that we are entering into the mosque, we prefer ourselves to enter and pray. And we're using sanitizer. Think of the sanitizer, the alcohol-based sanitizer, or we have a different kind of sanitizer. And the second thing is that about the prayers. Are we going to pray in the mosque with social distance, or there's no Eid at all? That is my question.
So Haruna, it means you've not been using sanitizers, eh?
We have been using, but now that if we are entering the mosque to pray, there's no need for you to be in contact with alcohol. Maybe anytime I want to pray, I use maybe liquid soap to wash my hand and enter the mosque and pray with my nose mask. And Sheikh also emphasized on the sanitizer. So now that we are forbidden to use alcohol, if we enter to pray, we already prefer ourselves to go and pray. So are we having different sanitizer, or we use the alcohol-based one to go and pray? Is it allowed?
Well, Sheikh, please respond to him. First one, the sanitizer, and then about the distancing or Charlie, it's free for all in the mosque. Yes.
But the question he has asked is very, very important about the alcohol content of the sanitizer. What we must understand is that we have what you call industrial alcohol that are used for medical purposes. That is not what Islam is talking about. Islam talks about alcohol that has been produced or fermented. One is industrial alcohol, which is not the type that we are talking about. So sanitizers that contain alcohol can be used by Muslims. But don't drink alcohol. Drinking alcohol for intoxication, the banku and the tuanzafi we take, they have certain chemical components of alcohol in them, and yet they are not those that we are talking about. Industrial alcohol is different, and we have them in some of the medical things that we use, in some of the perfumes that we use, and so on and so forth. Those are industrial. They are not the ones we are talking about. But we are talking about what has been put together deliberately to produce a substance that intoxicates, that when you take makes you intoxicated. Those ones are haram, and they don't come close to us at all. So you can use your sanitizers and clean yourself. Now with the Eid, like I have said, the president has pronounced the 1st of August as the effective date for the commencement of the second phase of the easing. And we are going to celebrate on the 31st of July. So we are not yet in 1st of August. So we are not going out to celebrate like we do normally. We will celebrate at home. Like I've mentioned, we didn't want to interfere with the government directives. So we will go by the directives and celebrate at home. That is what we are going to do.
Quite interesting, the point you make there. Let's see how it goes. So you're saying that alcohol in normal perfume, the industrial alcohol in normal perfumes is okay?
Yes, it's okay.
I'm not sure. Those
are not meant for us to drink and get intoxicated. Like Roland, like I mentioned, in fact, the banku and the etio and all those things that we take, if you go into the laboratory, they contain certain elements of alcohol. And yet we are not those who put that alcohol there. So those ones are permissible. They are not things that we need to bother ourselves about. But substances that have so deliberately been produced to be drunk and to get intoxicated, those ones are alcohol, they are intoxicants, and they are prohibited, strictly prohibited.
Because it is the drinking that the Quran frowns against, right?
Exactly. So for example, you cannot go and use beer or aperitif. The aperitif is deliberately produced for you to drink and get intoxicated. That is alcohol, which you cannot use at all. That is haram.
Shukran. Shukran. Well, Sheikh, thank you very much for this interaction. Great insight that you've undertaken so far, and great education. And I'm sure our viewers are all the better for it. We'll get back to you when we need more clarification. But you said the time is 11, is that not it?
11 a.m. sharp.
All right. But Sheikh Arimi Yao is an Islamic cleric, but also a spokesperson for the Office of the National Chief Imam.